Hey, it's Larry. Thanks for listening. Happy New Year. Real quick, before we get into this episode, I had such an amazing, eye-opening, life-changing experience at the World Parkinson Congress in Kyoto that I want others to have that opportunity too. So Becca Miller and I and 24 of our PD community friends have launched a year-long WPC travel grant fundraiser. We're each doing a 2-week Facebook fundraiser. Mine's underway right now because my birthday's January 9th. All the money raised will be used to help offset travel costs so more people with young onset Parkinson's can attend the next WPC in Barcelona in 2022. You can search out details on the When Life Gives You Parkinson's Facebook page or donate directly to the WPC website. Go to wpc2022.org/YOPD fund. If you or your business would like to supply matching funds, hey, good on ya. Email me at parkinsonspod@curiouscast.ca. And now, on with the show. It's time for another extra dosage episode of When Life Gives You Parkinson's. These are the in-between bits, special bonus content to get you through to the next full episode. I'm Larry Gifford alongside Niki Reitmeyer. Hello, Niki.
Hey, Larry. How are you feeling today?
Today's a rough day. I was up at 1 a.m.
Oh, God.
I've not been sleeping well at all. I saw my neurologist yesterday. It's probably weighing on me. So every 6 months I go to see Dr. Squires. And he puts me through the same battery of tests. And, there's some things like I've been going to physio, so my walking's getting better. It's not great, but it's better than it was.
Good.
But my fine motor skills are not so well. And so I was doing this exercise where you make a fist with your hand and you try to open it as fast and as wide as you can, as quickly as you can.
Okay, yeah. It's easy for me to do. But
yeah, and so when I do it with my left hand, it's great. And when I do it with my right hand, it's shaky and it's really slow.
Wow, that is a significant difference.
And that's what he said.
Oh.
I said, so...
It really is, though. I mean, when you're doing it with the one hand and you're going quite quickly, and with the other hand, it's remarkable the difference in speed and ability.
Right, and the same thing happens when you try to tap your index finger to your thumb.
Okay,
so
yeah.
With your left side, you do the other side. It's really hard for me to do.
To even connect
them. And so I said, so, okay. He checked it a couple times and said, so you're noticing what I'm noticing? He goes, yeah. I said, well, what's it mean? He goes, well, it means it's getting worse, which is how the disease works, right? It's degenerative. Now I said, well, but everybody's saying you've got YOPD, so you're going to be fine. Your symptoms will sort of plateau and it'll be a really slow decline. I'm like, this doesn't feel like a slow decline, doc. He goes, no. I'm like, oh, okay. He goes, but there's no indication that it's anything other than Parkinson's. And that's the big concern of the first 5-10 years is like, it's going to morph into something Parkinson's related, but worse.
Right.
So that's a little disconcerting.
You said something a moment ago. You said you have YOPD?
Young onset Parkinson's disease.
Oh, okay. Normally with young onset Parkinson's disease, does it develop a bit slower? Well,
so theories go, although, if you meet one person with Parkinson's, they say you've met one person with Parkinson's. So everybody's so different. But that's what people tell me. And so you want to believe it. And in this case, it's like, so I said, so what do we do about it? He goes, well, this was like an hour after I had taken my levodopa, which means it should have been at its peak.
Right.
And that's how my hand was. It was just really slow and lethargic and shaky. And he goes, so what that tells me is that you're not getting enough levodopa carbidopa. You're not getting enough dopamine production. So we're going to increase your medication. This is, I've seen him every 6 months for the last year and a half. And at each step, he's increased my medication, which means we're still trying to find the right balance of meds.
Now, when he does find the right balance of meds, then you're kind of okay, right? Will it balance out from there and maybe level off? Your symptoms will level off instead of continuing to degenerate as quickly as they are?
We don't know. It'll level off until it degenerates again. Okay. So we're going to try this. So now I'm up to 2 pills at 6 a.m., 2 pills at 11 a.m., 2 pills at 4 p.m., and then at 9 p.m. I take a double dose. That's extended release. That's supposed to last me through the night, but like last night, I was up at 1, so I took another 2 pills in the middle of the night.
Wow.
For sleep, he recommended an antidepressant, which is popular with Parkinson's patients, and it's called, let me see if I can find it here, mirtazapine. And it affects the chemicals in the brain that may be unbalanced in people with depression, anxiety, and sleep issues. And in the Parkinson's community, some people say it also helps with tremor. So that's why they use it for Parkinson's patients. But I'm not ready to go for that yet.
How come? Why not?
I don't want more medication. I don't want more prescriptions. So I was thinking about trying CBD oil.
The cannabis oil?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So the cannabis oil, supposedly, it doesn't make you high because it's
just the CBD. It's not the THC, and the THC is the active ingredient. And
right. So
what gets you high.
This has a calming, anti-anxiety, antipsychotic effect. And anecdotally, Parkinson's patients tell me that it aids with sleep. I asked my doctor about it. He goes, well, it's not going to hurt you. You can try it. He goes, there's all sorts of tests. They're conflicting results. They're not very good tests. They need to be more tests.
But nothing negative of those tests, no bad side effects. It's just, well, maybe it works,
maybe
it
work,
doesn't.
it might not work. Yeah. And so I was thinking about trying it.
Well, what do you have to lose? I guess if there's no real negative side effects of it, what do you have to lose?
You want to go with me to get it?
Is it, Larry? It's not legal yet, is it? Are we allowed to go do it? Can we? It's expensive, though, I imagine. Does the government cover the cost of it?
Oh, I doubt it.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
We'll find out. Let's go.
All right, let's do it. Sure. Let's try. Okay, yeah, let's do it. Let's go.
That CBD oil adventure continues in the next episode as Niki and I take you inside a cannabis dispensary. Right now, I want to share some more of my conversation with my brothers Bruce and Dan and my sister Tracy. Remember, Bruce is the oldest who lives in Connecticut, and he gets to go first. And then it's Dan, and then Tracy. Are you able to laugh about my Parkinson's yet?
Laugh about your Parkinson's?
Or joke about it?
I laugh about some of the comments you make. I think that's funny. I certainly have not made jokes about it yet. I will. Don't worry. I can laugh like when you sent a couple of things and made me chuckle a little bit, but it's just not. It's not funny. It's just not. Now there may be funny incidents that happen, events that in and of themselves are funny, but the whole thing's not funny.
Yeah.
I'm sure Dad was able to make light of some things, and then you are along the way, but it's not a funny topic.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I send those texts or I'll send an article about you have Parkinson's when and it's greeted with silence, and I'm like, oh, I guess they're not ready for that yet.
Well, I might not have responded, but I was laughing.
Oh, good. I break up tension with humor. That I think I've learned that through the family.
Totally agree, and I'd say I have as well, and that's one of the things that particularly at work, and meetings get tense, and I always find a way to break that up a little bit, and it's usually with humor, and people appreciate that. So I totally agree that came from the family for sure.
So if you think about when we were growing up, how did our family deal with adversity?
I think we were blessed in that we didn't have a whole lot of adversity. That, as I think about growing up, I mean, we all had our own individual battles we dealt with, and our indiscretions as kids, and and trying to deal with getting caught doing something wrong. But we didn't have a lot that we dealt with from that perspective, or maybe we weren't at the age where it really resonated. I can remember, having grandparents pass away. But that was, sometimes it was too young. Other times it was, I felt bad. I can remember Grandma Gifford passed when I was my freshman year in school, and I got back from Florida State, and I talked to her when I got back home, and I was going to go see her the next day, and she passed. And that was tough. It was tough on me personally because I really had a connection with her, having spent time, whether it was visiting her, in the apartment or whatever, when she lived over off of College Avenue. But that was probably, from an adversity perspective, I think it was something I had to deal with. But I was probably, at 18 years old, too young to really even understand at that age what all that meant. And you look back now and you're like, gosh, I would have treasured, some more moments with loved ones that were lost.
Yeah, I seem to remember when we were growing up, with distance, the farther away we got, the more humor we found in dealing with the passing of grandma and grandpas, and dad and Dub would sit at the table and hey, is mom here yet? And she died 10 years ago.
Yeah, that was always going on between Dad and Uncle Dub, and they were those Dad, Uncle Dub, and Uncle Don were three crazy men, and you put them all in a room together, and you didn't know what you were going to see, and they. I can remember them taking pictures of each other, taking pictures, and laughing about it, and they'd hoot and holler when they got together, which is part of the family gatherings. It only really happened probably around the Christmas holiday, but it was always good stories. It was a question of who was picking up Grandma after she obviously had passed, and laughing about that a little bit, just because it was probably easier than hitting it head on. But there was a lot of that who's bringing the shrimp or whatever it might be. And obviously, joking about Uncle Dub and Aunt Fran always being late. But the humor's always been a big part of the family. If you go back, I mean, between Dad and his brothers and kind of the whole family, there's always humor. Somebody's cutting up on somebody about something, and I think that's kind of part of who our family is we have a lot of fun together at one another's and at our own expenses. I mean, sometimes you're laughing about yourself and you're laughing just as hard about somebody else, and I don't think that anybody takes personal offense to it, and I think we all get our turns. We're probably a lot nicer to the spouses than we are to one another, but probably because we have better, longer memories about funny things about one another that everyone is privy to, where things that happen, with a spouse might only resonate with the two of you because the others weren't there because of the distance we have amongst ourselves.
Well, it's interesting. The first time I brought Rebecca to family Christmas was the week before we were going to put our dog Skeeter down. And her introduction to the family was us asking Skeeter to play dead because he needed to get used to it.
And that's what happens in our house. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Dad was hilarious. He had a great sense of humor, and he dealt with every issue with humor. I mean, let me tell you, if any one of the four of us could make Dad mad, it was definitely me. So I think I might have found the subjects that made him not handle something with humor. But those were very few and far between. He had a great sense of humor, and I am thankful that he instilled that into all of us as well.
So Dad dealt with adversity with humor, and Dan and I talked about that too. But as a family, have we evolved from that? And what if so? And I think we have. What are we evolved into as far as dealing with adversity? Well,
I think each of us probably has evolved in different ways. we probably individually still deal with adversity in some ways with humor, and I know you do. I think, though, that probably however Becky deals with adversity probably rubs off on you. However Jim deals with adversity probably rubs off on me. And same goes, for Dee and Renee and Dan and Bruce, where I feel like it's a combination of, the longer you're with somebody, the more you kind of meld your ways together.
Yeah, it's interesting. I try to think back of when we stopped. I mean, I still laugh at a lot of things because that's how I cope with things. But like as a family, when Dad got sick, that's one of the first times I can remember where it was serious.
Well, right. And that probably was when, and honestly, I think when it's not something that's serious, like a health problem, I do feel like we still deal with things like with a sense of humor. Being the only girl, I'm probably the most emotional, and so I probably do it less than you guys.
I don't know. Bruce is pretty emotional.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I would agree with that. Bruce is pretty emotional, but Bruce also keeps to himself a lot.
Yeah.
So while he may be emotional, he doesn't show it a lot. Does that make sense?
It does.
Where I pretty much, heck, last fall I called you bawling my eyes out. So it happens, the way I deal with challenges or things, I react probably emotionally, and then when my immediate reaction is probably more emotional, and then when I have time to sit back and think about it, I'm like, well, of course, and then I laugh and I make jokes, and it's like, of course that happened to me.
One thing I noticed is that, I try to keep a positive attitude about it, and I joke about it, and I can make a really good shaken martini now. But I feel like whenever I give an update on text or even when I talk to people, nobody in the family's ready to laugh about anything yet.
Oh, we laugh. When you send the jokes, I laugh.
Well, then you got to say
Jim
ha-ha or something, because it's just like silence. It's like, oh, they're not ready for that.
No, I feel like, I guess, I don't know. I think more than anything, there's relief when we get an update. It's like, okay, there's relief. There's like this sense of, okay, here's the update. There's a whole lot of unknown that makes you, builds up inside. So when we do get an update, it's like, okay, whew. And you kind of focus on what's the update and maybe not the humor that was inserted somewhere in the update.
Gotcha.
But I do remember one of the chains, and it might have been the one that you just read to me where you were talking about, maybe it was a different one. We were talking about something about that they can't determine something without an autopsy, and we decided not to go that route. I think we all laughed at that one.
Yeah, the when I met with the Parkinson's neurologist, who officially, quote unquote, diagnosed me, he goes, we can never tell 100% if it's actually truly Parkinson's unless we do an autopsy. I'm like, well, let's hold off on that.
Yeah, I think we all pretty much got a good laugh out of that.
Good.
We thought you made a really good choice in opting not to go that direction.
And that's your extra dosage. As always, we're very grateful to have the Parkinson Canada crew as partners for this podcast. You can find more information at parkinson.ca. On the next episode of When Life Gives You Parkinson's.
So what have you tried so far then for your sleep?
What haven't I tried? But I'm open to trying CBD oil. Cannabis oil.
Well, that sounds good.
Yeah, so you want to come with me to the store to get some?
Now? Yeah, sure. Let's go.
So I've been recommended to try CBD oil. I have Parkinson's, and so I have trouble sleeping. Yeah. But I don't know how to use it or what I should do.
and I squeezed it under my tongue, and then I realized I wasn't looking in the mirror, and I don't know how much I squeezed. But I think it was just a drop or so. We'll find out. Sweet dreams.
Thank you for listening, and thanks to our partner, Parkinson Canada.
Oh, all sorts of great information and resources are available at parkinson.ca.
Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this right now. And while you're there, give the show a rating and feel free to comment too. We want to hear your thoughts.
Give it a good rating.
Yes, definitely a good rating.
Just a few clicks really helps. The more this podcast grows, the more attention Parkinson's receives, the more money we can raise for research, and the closer we get to a cure. You can also engage with us on social media. It's at Parkinson's Pod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Or you can email us at parkinsonspod@curiouscast.com.
Keep positive.
Keep exercising.
Keep listening.
We'll talk to you next time.
Canada may be known for its landscapes and friendly people, but beneath the surface lies a darker side of crime, history, and the paranormal. Since 2017, the award-winning Dark Poutine podcast has explored the shadowy corners of the Great White North and beyond, delivering chilling tales from a uniquely Canadian perspective. Hosted by Mike Brown and Matthew Stockton with over 300 episodes and fresh releases every Monday, Dark Poutine is your weekly ticket to the creepier side of Canada. Listen to Dark Poutine on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts.